Hey, Rebel Bankers, this is your host, Chris Noggle, and welcome back to the show. Today, I'm joined by Sean Whalen, Lions, Not Sheep. We're gonna hear some amazing things about Sean, his journey, the struggles he's went through, and just some unbelievable things that you all need to live by. But before we get into Sean's story, let's talk about your journey to becoming a Rebel Banker. This journey is always filled with a lot of bumps and bruises, but not only that, it's filled with you learning. But you know, the person that said knowledge is power was full of shit, because knowledge isn't power. It's the application of knowledge, folks. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to challenge all of you watching this right now. I want you to take action. And when I first had to kind of come out from the bottom, I had to be motivated by something for free. So I'm going to give you something free. I'm going to give you one of my two books. You can have both or one. Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery or the Private Money Guide. You can get either one of them for free. Just go to my website, chrisnoggle.com, one swipe, click the button, and take action. Sean, thanks so much for joining us on the show. I know you're crazy busy at this time of the year, so I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know what I'd like to do? Can you just tell everybody a little bit about what you've got going on now, Lions, Not Sheep, and just, you know, I'll never forget the time when you said, you know, I'm going to do $1 million in selling shirts in a day, and boom, you blew that out of the water. So tell everybody like what your business is, what you're doing, and let's take a trip back in time after that.
Yeah, man. Lions Not Sheep. We've got a lot of different things inside of that. The name came to me a number of years ago, and I'm sure we'll talk about kind of the history and the meltdown and the whole thing. But it came to me after I went through a divorce, after I went through a bankruptcy, after I burned down a multi-million-dollar real estate empire that I had built. And it resonated with me. It literally just became kind of my own personal mantra. I made one t-shirt about 3 years ago, just called my buddy and said, look, I've got this name. I didn't have the URL. I wasn't starting an apparel company. I'm just like, I just want to put this on a t-shirt, you know, Lions Not Sheep. And he did. And about a week later, I was wearing it and I posted a picture to social media, and somebody sent me a message, said, dude, where do I get that shirt? How do I get it? So I called my buddy back. I'm like, yo, somebody wants to buy a t-shirt. I'm like, how do I sell t-shirts? I don't know shit about this. I'm a real estate guy, whatever. And to fast forward to today, the brand itself is literally a global brand. We have coaching, we have consulting. We obviously have the apparel business, which has taken off. And the beginning of this year, I decided that I wanted to build an apparel line around it, because we were selling, you know, about 20, 30 shirts a month, just organically, just through my social media. And so I built a team around it. And back in March, I started to kind of have this vision. I wrote on my whiteboard $1 million a month, because why the fuck not? Right. I mean, it was just like this number that seemed, you know, monumental, which to some apparel companies, they do that in an hour. Right. To me, it was like starting a company from zero and saying within the next 6 months, I want to do $1 million in revenue, not having any fucking clue how to do it. And in November, so last month, we hit $1 million in revenue. So the process along the way, though, was the story in and of itself of what we did this year with COVID, literally having just every problem you could imagine having came our way, and you know, pivoting and shifting and moving. So it's been really fun. But yeah, we've got an apparel line. I've got a best-selling book with Lions Not Sheep, coaching. We have almost 1,000 clients around the world, in not only our virtual coaching, but one-on-one coaching, business coaching. So it's fun, man. It's fun.
And you know, you said $1 million a month, and then I had to up your ante, and I said $1 million a day. That's nice.
Right.
And you know what?
I was like, what's my goal for 2021? I was like,
I should have wrote it on the board just so that you had to see it, right?
I'll get to $1 million a day. My goal for 2021 is $1 million a week. So we're going from a month to a week. So that's a big freaking jump. But
that's all right, man. If your dreams
$1 million a day at some point in time.
If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's funny. I watched your story, and this morning I think you had a post on there of what your warehouse looks like. Now, I remember when you opened that warehouse, you had a bunch of unused space. I believe it's off to the right. You know, you had your car in there, and it's like, oh, look at this. This is their fulfillment area, and you had a couple boxes. This morning, like, I don't even know how you walk in there. Like, what does that feel like to have everybody tell you couldn't do something back some time ago, to now just being like, you know what? Fuck you. I did it, and here I am today.
That's kind of, I mean, my whole life has been like that, right? And it's not some boohoo sob story. I grew up in a single parent house, right? I didn't have shit, no silver spoon, and nobody giving me handouts and stuff. And I've taken my lumps. You know, I made millions and millions of dollars in the real estate game. And then when the market crashed, I got friggin' punched in the mouth. And so with Lions Not Sheep, it was me. It literally a lot of people don't know this. Like, I built it for me. Like, I wanted this to become like my daily mantra, my way of being. It's like everything that I'm doing, I'm saying, I'm being, every business I'm building, every client I'm working with, like, I've got a choice to be a lion or a sheep. And so this year it was just the social media. Some people know this, some people don't. I've got almost 1 billion views of my videos online, which just me sharing my story. Like I've literally never spent any money on ads until this year. And so building that following and building almost 1 million followers between Instagram and Facebook, and people resonating with the brand. I mean, literally up until the beginning of this year, my mom was our entire production staff. Literally, orders would come in. My mom retired last year. I said, Ma, you can't sit home with your fucking cat all day long. You got to do something. Come work for me.
Wait, your mom's a cat person too?
She's got a cat. Their cat died a little bit ago, and she doesn't have a new one yet. But anyways, she's a single lady. She's staying at home doing her thing, and said, Ma, just come do this. And so she would come to the office, twice a week, and she on the little heat transfer machine was filling orders and writing little notes and saying, thanks for your order, put it in an envelope that we'd buy from Staples and throwing it in the mail. And it was like knowing that the brand was building itself and seeing where it was going. Like I moved into this big space because I hate offices, truthfully. I just can't stand. I've had the cubicle in the office for years and years and years and years. And so I released a 7,000 square foot warehouse as my new office, which really I only have like 2 employees and didn't need it. But I was like, fuck it. I literally had a couch, a leather couch in the middle of this office that I would just work from because I'd have meetings there and I just didn't want to be in an office. And back, like I said, at the beginning of this year, it was like, dude, let's build this. Like, I see all my buddies running apparel companies. I've got good friends like my buddy Andy, who owns, First Form, and he's built that to a $400 million a year company. I'm like, Lions Not Sheep is a brand that people resonate with. And this is pre-COVID, pre-meltdown, pre any of this bullshit. And so it was catching on. It was like people were seeing me elevate my life and elevate my clients and coming out of a divorce and bankruptcy and kind of this midlife crisis to now being engaged to this beautiful woman and my kids and watching this whole thing. And I was like, dude, let's build this. Like, I have no clue how to build an apparel company. I know how to do like onesie, twosie shirts. And so we went from literally 1 heat transfer to 2 heat transfers to then my kids coming in and working for me to then hiring employees. So we had 7 heat transfers altogether at the beginning of this year. So all of you that wanted to know about apparel companies, and people think it's so easy. You just get a t-shirt. It cost me $5.50 and I sell it for $20 and I made, $14.50 in net profit. Not even fucking close. That's how I ran the game. I was like, we can make a ton of money. Doesn't work like that. Anyways, we just grew and I continued to push the vision. And back in March, I wrote that on the board and hired a guy who, like, I'd never run ads. I said, dude, I don't understand the ad game. You're an ad guy. Like, here's my vision. This is what I want to do. Come on board, help me run this. And brought another person on, and then a warehouse person. And then funny story that a lot of people don't know is back in July, all my kids were out for summer break. And so this is the COVID bullshit whole thing. Mm-hmm. Long story short, I hired my daughter who's 17. I said, dude, call all your friends. Like, let's get all your friends in here working for the summertime, packing orders, doing the deal, the whole thing. One of them, they were like my entire production staff. Mom's retired now. Mom went from, I don't want to do this. This is too much. I like making 2 or 3 shirts a week. Fuck off with all this stuff. So mom's like, I quit, basically quit. It was like, I don't want to do this anymore. There's too much. I'm like, all right, Ma, just go live, your retired life. And so my kids took over. Anyways, one of these girls, my daughter's friend, apparently got COVID. And word travels fast when you're in high school group. And 9 out of our 10 employees that were doing all of our production quit in a day. And so we were ramping up ads. This is July, August, when I'm like on my trek to hit $1 million. We went from 30,000 in sales to 160,000 to 400,000. And then about a week and a half later, my production guy, my office or warehouse manager comes in. He's like, dude, we have a problem. I was like, what's the problem? He's like, we're 6,000 shirts behind. And I'm like, well, fuck, just hire a bunch of people to come in at night. Like, my brain's like already 6 years down the road. Anyways, we ended up hiring another company to help us bridge the gap. And we sent 6,000 shirts to this company. And when they sent it back to us,
they were all wrong.
6,000 of these shirts were crooked.
I remember that.
And so I spent $40,000 on the inventory and the thing and then this, and then it comes back. And it was one of those things as an entrepreneur, and anybody listening to this who's ever built a company knows, like, I'm sitting there going, fuck, what do I do? So I sent out just a straight up email. to every single buyer. And I said, look, here's the deal. This is exactly what happened. Kid got COVID. Everybody quit. I'm behind on your order. If you want your money back, I'll give you your money back. If not, it's going to take me a month to get caught up to get you your shit. What was really funny is I said, for the inconvenience, here's a 50% off code, right? Get you 50% off, whatever. Now, we were trying to slow shit down so we could get caught up. And with that one email, we did almost $100,000 in sales. So my team's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? We're trying to slow this shit down. We just did 100K in fucking sales. I'm like, shit, maybe I shouldn't have given him a coupon. We should have done something different, Here's a Chili's gift card or something like that. But anyways, it's been a fucking insane ride. And so to go from my warehouse that was just my cars and motorcycles and little man cave that my kids would come ride scooters in and shit like that to now literally I just signed on another 5,000 square foot warehouse right around the corner from mine because we're completely full now. It's been really humbling, man. It's fun. But I mean, as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter if I'm selling freaking water bottles or plants or apparel or real estate or whatever it is. It's just, I love the game. I love like having to pivot and adapt. I love when something comes my way that's a challenge, looking at it, being like, all right, how do we overcome this like now? And I think it's something that I think I've been blessed with for sure, being able to just pivot and continue to move. But dude, it's fun as shit, man. Building business is just fucking fun. You know what I mean?
It's a blast. I mean,
that's the long answer to the warehouse question.
That's all right. The t-shirt thing rings very true to me because when I was 16, I quit my job and I stopped trading hours for dollars, came home and I opened a clothing line in mom's basement called Fat Clothing Company, PHAT. That went really well. I was traveling around being a pro snowboarder and I was selling my clothes to every guy that I'd see along the way. And, I still make shirts today, nothing like what you're doing. We just do it for the fun of it, to put our message, what we live by, on shirts and put them out there. And you've just, one day you looked and you said, I'm going to make this a brand, and boom, that was March. You said, like, where that was happening?
It was March. So
the t-shirts.
So May, we started running ads in May. May was when I spent my very first dollar running ads. So we had May, June, and July. We did like 30K and then 160K and then 400 something K. And then August was when we had the meltdown, literally shut everything down, spent August and September revamping the entire company, which was really only 90 days old, knowing that the heat transfer thing was not a scalable model. We couldn't keep up. So I had to go out, source everything, create partnerships, figure out, COGS and everything else. And then we started running ads again in October and then hit 1 million in sales in November. So all of this has been since May.
I mean, that is just insane. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard a story of a t-shirt line growing that fast, but you did it. But you already had the brand, so you just owned it, and you just said, I'm going to do this. And, that's something powerful there, because so many people today are doing nothing but conforming. They're just conforming to what everybody tells them to do, stay home, do this, do that, and they listen. When the ones that are really out there breaking doors down, making shit happen, they're not conforming, they're creating. You are a creator, I'm a creator, and those we surround ourselves with, like Randy and Kent, they're creators. And, there's something to be said about creation. And I just don't understand what happens. Like, here's something that I look at often is, if you took and you went around and you asked 20, how old are your kids now?
17, 14, and 11.
So let's just pick on the 17-year-old. Okay. If you went around, you found 100 17-year-olds and you asked them this one question. You said, at the age of 65, are you going to be a millionaire? Every one of them, before you got that out of your mouth, would all say, absolutely. Why do I have to wait that long? But yet from that age until the time they reach 65, something happens. Something happens that makes them part of the Social Security statistic that only 5 out of 100 people will be financially secure. And I want your opinion on this, but I truly believe it's because they conform and they stop creating, because society doesn't teach people to create. What do you make of that?
I share this a lot with Lions Not Sheep and with my coaching, and this transcends money into your personal reality and your personal life. I mean, I'm 42 years old. I was raised pretty similar to you, pretty similar to probably every single person watching this right now. I don't care if you're black, white, gay, straight, it doesn't really matter. The way we were raised is pretty similar, okay? When you're a little kid, I mean, you don't pick your name. You don't pick your language. You don't pick your religious beliefs, your morality. You don't pick what's right and what's wrong. All this shit is programmed. When you're a little kid in your elementary school, sit down, quiet down, slow down. I mean, geez, I've got kids that go to school, right? They're in these classrooms, just like we were in classrooms, and they're told what to do and they're told what's right. They're graded on, their acumen compared to their peers and the whole thing. You and I are raised the exact same fucking way. Presidential test, how many pull-ups, how many sit-ups, how smart are you? A+, A-, right? And you think about that, like, as you're a little kid, like, our parents would dream, go to the moon, go to the moon. Like, you can be anything. You want to be an astronaut? Well, meanwhile, dad works a shitty job that he fucking hates. He gets up, before the sun comes up and is home after the sun goes down. We have these parents who are telling us to go live our dreams, but be realistic. You got to go to college. You got to get an education. I know you want to think big and be the millionaire kid, but you're going to have to pay your dues and do the deal. And maybe you're better than other people. When you stop and think about it, we've been programmed to lie as human beings. This ain't about like 65. We're programmed to lie, right? I mean, ask a grown-ass adult, what their dreams are, or what they're doing, or do you love your life? I love my life. Well, why do you pop Xanax like they're fucking Skittles? Why is it that 51% of all marriages are ending in divorce? Mm-hmm. Why are more kids committing suicide now than ever before? Like, this is a very, very, very real question, what you just asked, because we as parents, as having 3 kids, I'm telling my kids the same shit my parents told me. Go to the moon, dream. You can do anything. But if I'm a dad who hates his fucking life, who punches the clock, who's working for that 401k, working for that IRA, trying to make it to that 65 goal, what are my kids seeing?
Not what you're telling them.
Dad says to go to the moon, but dad hates his life. Mom and dad bicker and fight and whatever. And we struggle financially and we're here and we're there. And if you really go back to how we were programmed as little kids, sit down, quiet down, slow down. You go to high school, sit down, quiet down, slow down. This is what's right. This is what's wrong. Okay, now kid, here's the deal. Now you're going to go to another school and you're going to pick something that you're going to become an expert at. You're going to get an education at. You're going to go into a ridiculous amount of debt for, and then you're going to go into the workplace and you're going to try and compete with everybody else. That's the American dream. That's literally, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong how our American education system, even private schooling, that's how we teach our kids. That's what we're programming our kids
every day
to understand. And what makes it really, really, really interesting, and I found this when I was like 32 years old, and I basically burned my world to the ground. I had everything you could want, the Rolexes, the cars, the houses, the whole fucking deal. And I step back and I'm like, is this it? Like, I got 4 fucking vacation houses. I make a ton of money. I work 20 hours a day. My wife wants me home. I want to be here. She and I are like this, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, we go to Disneyland, but I'm on my BlackBerry the whole time and whatever. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? I'm not having fun. I'm carrying this nut and I got all these bills and all of this shit for what? To live up higher on the side of the mountain, to have a bigger gated community than his gated community. And it was really interesting because I realized, like, I wasn't doing anything that I really wanted to do. And you ask most people, I mean, the statistics are in, like, we're fat, we're unhappy. Marriages, literally 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce. 50% of every person that you know is going to get divorced. Why? You know what I'm saying? When you stop and think about these things, it's because we've been programmed to lie. And so when you ask a kid that, we're telling them, dream, go to the moon. You can be anything. But here's what you're going to do. And what you're going to do is follow after mom and dad. Mom and dad aren't really that happy. If you're going to work for 30 or something, 40 years, maybe you'll make it to this stage. And, it's a fucking insane reality. This is why I, as a father, something that I teach and I coach, and something I believe very, very, very firmly in with Lions Not Sheep, is I can tell my kids all day long how to be happy. I can tell my kids how to dream. I can tell my kids how to go out, whatever, or I can just show them.
Exactly.
And so for me as a father, as a business owner, as a leader, as a visionary, as an employer, I'm like, my kids are watching me, man. I mean, my son who is literally 14 years old has raced the Baja 1000 with me twice now. He's raced the Baja 500 3 times. He raced the Baja 500 for the first time at 10 years old. Because I was like, I wanted to do this as a dad, as a man. This is on my list. I want to go do this. I'm like, I'm bringing my kid with me. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? And so my anticipation and hope and prayer, I hate hope, but like, is when he's 20, 25, 30 years old, he's going, dude, I raced the Baja 1000 and the Baja 500 when I was 10 fucking years old. Like, my dad was living the shit. He was living it. He wasn't talking about it, living it, you know? And maybe that's right. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's
those are by far my favorite posts that you've ever put up are the ones of you and your son in the Raptor at the Baja, just sitting there, the smiles on your face. You smile a lot now. Okay. You never used to, but you do a lot now. And the smile on both of your faces in that truck full of dust is priceless. You can't even there's nothing else other than living your dream that can make that kind of a smile happen. And, the funny thing is, and you know this, but on your website, on some of the posts, people constantly call you an asshole. They say things, but they call you an asshole because you made a decision to change from lying to total truth. And the consequences, you said, fuck the consequences. I'm going to be true to myself. I'm going to be true to my kids, and I'm going to be true to the world. If you hate me, good for you. And, not many people do that, but that falls right into what you just said. You stopped conforming to what everybody wants somebody to be, and you started living your life. And I truly think if those 17-year-olds, those 117-year-olds just did that, and just realized that the truth is you have to be true to yourself and stop lying to yourself, because you're right. Like, you grew up in a household very much like mine. My mom, extremely religious, raised me. Dad was an alcoholic. Dad worked a job he hated. Like, my dad despised it. I connected with my mom, and my mom always taught me to dream, but my mom never lived her dream. So it was hard for me to kind of say, I'm going to live my dream, but mom didn't. Those are difficult things in life. And I think we all have to find our way through that. And you had that happen too. You had a mentor. And a lot of people hire a mentor. Show me how to make millions. Show me how to be incredibly successful. Can you tell the audience, when you had that mentor, what did you ask that mentor to teach you?
So the very first coach, like when I went through my midlife crisis, whatever the fuck that means, like if it means leaving your marriage, leaving your business, sticking your head up your ass, contemplating killing yourself, and then putting a 9mm in your mouth and almost pulling your brains out. If that's a midlife crisis, then that's what I did. I don't know what that means, but that's exactly where I was at. I realized that at the day after I went into this crazy place and literally put a 9mm in my mouth, I realized the next day that I was really angry, and I had known how to make money. I made money as a young kid. Like, I was a hustler. I was a kid making money. Like, that wasn't the game, right? I was angry, but I didn't know what I was angry at. And if you turn on the TV, if you get on social media nowadays, it's pretty safe to say that our culture, our society, our media, black, white, rich, poor, Republican, people are fucking angry. Mm-hmm. We're living in this bubble of just anger. And you ask most people, they just snap in a second, right? I was really fucking angry, but it wasn't I wasn't angry at God. I wasn't angry at my business partners. I was angry at everybody. But more than that, I realized how angry I was at myself, and I didn't know why. And so when I reached out to my buddy, he was my friend at the time, and he started this program because he kind of went through a midlife crisis. I was like, dude, I don't know how to not be angry. And it's weird because I grew up in a religious household, and it's love Jesus and be patient and tolerant. Fuck off with all that stuff. Let's talk real shit. I can spit all of the good game, but the truth is this is where I'm at. And I think if you ask most men, yeah, I want to be politically correct, and I need to make sure that I say the right thing for the church and for the people and for the work. And it's no, dude, fuck off. What's your truth? And I realized that's why I was so angry. And what I found and what I learned and what I uncovered and really discovered in going down this path and hiring a coach and hiring a mentor is that I was a fucking liar. Straight up, I was just a liar. It wasn't oh, it's snowing when it was really sunny outside. It was I lied to myself about who I was, about what I wanted, where I was in life. I ask this, it's one of the most paramount questions that I ask as a coach and with Lions Not Sheep. And it is without question. I've asked millionaires this, I've asked billionaires this question. It's the hardest question for a human being to answer. And I know because I was asked this, and it took me almost 2 years to answer it. And the question is, what do you want? And my guy's like, what do you want? I'm like, dude, I just want to be happy. What does that mean? I wanted financial freedom. What does that mean? And you start exploring this reality, and I realized that I was just a liar. I was saying things going all the way back to childhood, that I was programmed or socially acceptable, politically correct. This is what I'm supposed to say as a dad, supposed to be as a father, supposed to be as a husband, and supposed to be as a business leader. And at the end of the day, I was just completely fucking full of shit. And so after I kind of burned everything to the ground, I just looked at it and I was like, I know how to build business, and what I'm seeing in the marketplace and what I experienced was, okay, go out, build your business, do all this other shit. You're going to do it for your kids, for your wife, and then try and, finagle something in there for you. You know what I mean? It's like, I hear from men all the fucking time, I run myself ragged and I work these long hours for my kids and for my family. I'm like, so like you're sacrificing your happiness and who you really are. You think that's noble? I thought it was noble. It was like, dude, look at me. I work 20 hours a day, kids. Look at our big house and look at our fucking fast cars and my $10,000 watch. That's not fucking noble. That's such stupidity. That's being fucking owned by an ideology that you don't even fucking believe in. And so I kind of reversed everything and I was like, what would it look like instead of building a business and then trying to fit my life into it? What if I decided what the fuck I really wanted in life and I told the truth? And the truth is, I don't want to work. The truth is, I really don't. I'm 42 years old. I don't want to work. I want to be on the beach with my kids. Mm-hmm. I want to be riding horses with my daughter. I want to be racing with my son. That's what I really fucking want. And if you ask most human beings, they're like, oh, I want to put in a hard day's work. And it's all this bullshit noble, bro, you ain't impressing me. There isn't a man on the planet that doesn't want to spend more time with his kids. So if that's the truth and that's what you really want, then why aren't you doing it? Well, because I have to make a living. So do I. You think this fucking cell phone's free and this house is free? You think that the magic gas gods just fill up my big ass diesel sucking gas truck? No, dude. I got the same shit too, but I just realized I did everything and was angry because I was lying and I didn't know how to tell the truth. And so my coach helped me see that, what do you really want? And once I started seeing what I really wanted and I got really honest about it, I started separating from a lot of people. My message became totally different. I became a lot more free. I was liberated. I was I wasn't having to impress you and do this and do this. And what I saw is if I decide what kind of life I want, then I'll just build a business to support that. And now all of a sudden, I have that. And it's oh shit, well, how do I scale this? And how do I make this bigger? And it's really hard for most people to understand this because at the end of the day, we think that we have to play by these rules because this is what we've been programmed since we were little kids. And if you go back to that very fucking beginning, right? If you were like me and you were an asshole in school and you were bouncing around because you had ADD, ADHD, and all the other ADD things, they were just trying to pop pills down my throat to get me to shut the fuck up and sit down.
Conform. Sit down and conform, kid. That's what they were saying.
Sit down, quiet down, slow down. Now here we are, 30, 35, 40, 45-year-old grown-ass men going, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this? Great, I got the 401k and the thing, and then, oh shit, did you hear Bob had a heart attack and died? Bob was 42. He just ran a fucking marathon and he's dead.
Yeah.
He hasn't done jack shit with his kids, but he worked his guts out to make sure that his 401k and his IRA and his retirement account was there, but he doesn't even know his fucking kids' names. And I realized this is where I was so angry because I was doing everything I was told and nothing that I wanted to do. And I just flipped that shit. And I said, I'm going to do everything that I want to fucking do from here on out. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a shit how politically correct or incorrect it is. This is my game. I don't know anything about off-road racing. And my buddy flew me to Baja one year. He's on his jet, super rich. He said, teach me some social media.
Is that Ryan?
Ryan. I'm sitting at the finish line.
I love it.
Watched him cross the finish line with his son. I got emotional. In the Baja 1000, I got emotional. And I literally grabbed my phone and FaceTimed my son. I was like, bro, he's 10. He's always been in a Travis Pastrana is his hero. I'm like, do you want to do this with me? He's like, yeah, he says this. I swear to God, hell yeah, dad. And I was like, he said, hell, he's 10 years old. I was like, this is great. And I said, dude, you and I are going to do this. And I swear to God, I came home. I didn't know jack shit about racing. Nothing. I bought a race truck. Called my buddies. I was like, is this a good deal? I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. And I gave my son my word. In that moment, I was like, you will be my co-driver forever.
And dude, that's awesome.
30 days later, we're racing. And it's I think a lot of why we're struggling today as men specifically is because we're lying. Because we're just completely full of shit about who we really are, what we really feel, and most of all, what we really want. And the way that we get out of this game, the way that I got out of this game is literally just doing what the fuck I wanted to do, the way that I wanted to do it.
Yeah. And you know, I'll never forget the time I went to Ryan's house, and if you've been there, his whole house is built around his life and his kid's life. Mm-hmm. And that's it. So when you mentioned that about him, of course it was him driving with his kid in it, because that's what he's made his life. And that is a life to model your life after, and that yours as well. Like what you're doing with your kids. I mean, every week you got photos of you watching your son wrestle and your daughter. And that's inspiring, because, you know, you're building this giant business, and it's going to get bigger, whether you want it to or not. It's going to, because you just keep writing a bigger number on the screen. And because you think it, you dream it, it will manifest and happen. That's a universal law. You know that. But people, you know, in today's world, they just make the excuses, the lies, like you said. And it's, oh, I got to work because I got to pay the bills. Find something that makes you happy that will pay the bills. Like, I don't understand, and I've struggled with my whole life, why people make excuses to live their perfect day. And I don't understand why it's such a hard thing, but that's kind of what we're talking about. And I call it conforming. You call it lying. They're the same freaking thing. And you just decided not to. So what would be your best advice you could give if it was just one simple thing you could give to all the listeners? Because a lot of our listeners are real estate investors, are entrepreneurs, some at the beginning stage, some are very successful. What advice, based on your life story, okay, you having to go through the things you have, would you give?
Tell the fucking truth.
Simple. I love it.
Because
I love it.
I don't care who you are. I don't care what you drive. I don't care how much cash flow you have. I don't care how many assets you got. I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. I saw this year, at the beginning of the year, my son going into 9th grade, and he plays football too. And one of the things that broke my heart the most is I live in a pretty cool area, a very affluent area. There's a lot of rich people around me and the whole thing, right? The league sent out an email at the beginning of the year saying there was like 8 teams that didn't have coaches, and they were looking for coaches. I'm coaching my son's 9th grade football team, and you're talking 2 hours of practice every single day. You know what I mean? And what I realized in that moment is that, like, there's 20 kids on these teams. You know, there's 160 kids, 170 kids, 170 dads that I don't give a fuck how much money you have, how big your house is, how much money you make. You'll never be able to buy 9th grade football back. I don't give a fuck what jet you got. I don't give a shit about any of that. You can have all the money in the world. You will never be able to spend the money to buy 9th grade football back.
Never. No dollar can do that.
You could be a billionaire. You will never be able to get 9th grade. And when that hit me, like this happened last year as well, I was like, I don't give a fuck about the deal. I don't give a fuck about the money. I don't give a shit who it is. Like, I will never do anything that prohibits me from doing what I want to do and being there with my kids. And that's something that, like, every person listening to this, I don't care where you're at in life. I don't care whether you're the newbie, especially if you're the newbie, listen to what the fuck I'm telling you. And if you're one of these old geezers who you know, swings the big ding dong, I don't really care, man. At the end of the day, you're going to end up in the same fucking cardboard box I am. But think this through for 2 seconds. The idea, like, I'm going to hustle and grind for 3, 4, 5 years, and then I'm going to fucking check out, and then I'm going to cash out. That never comes. No one ever gets there. I said that. I was a self-made multimillionaire by 30. I told my ex-wife, I want $100K a month of cash flow, and then we're out of the game. We'll retire, right? And this is when I was in my 20s. That was a big fucking deal. I had it. And I kept playing the game. And I kept gambling. I kept playing the game.
You always push the chips all in. That's, I think, what you said in either your podcast or your book. You pushed all your chips in all the time.
That's how we'll always be. And in order to be a high performer, you're going to have to be like that. But
absolutely.
I want you to just contemplate that one thing. Whoever's listening to me right now, like, you will never be able to buy back your kid's soccer. You'll never be able to buy back t-ball. You'll never be able to buy back coaching your kid in pee-wee football. You can't, you won't have, there's no dollar amount that will ever be able to buy that back. And that's the thing that hit me. And I was like, I will never sacrifice that. I will never sacrifice that for $1, ever.
Yeah. And I got something for that. I wear a watch. I don't know if you can see that, Sean. It says the right time.
Now.
It says now, because that's the only time there is. You can say, oh, it's early. Oh, it's late. But the only time that ever matters is now. And now is the time you all need to start living your lives, just like Sean's talking about. In your book, Sean, How to Make Shit Happen, you say motivation doesn't mean shit. Can you just elaborate on that? Because I've read your book twice now. That book is damn good. I don't know how long it took you to write that. Probably not long, but it's awesome. So what does that statement mean?
You can go to YouTube and be motivated. And there's a million videos that motivate you, right? You can see some dude driving by in a Lamborghini and get motivated. But motivation doesn't mean anything, man. Like action is the only thing that gets you there, right? I mean, how many people right now, we're in December, right? The tail end of this fucking scamdemic of this year. I mean, not the scamdemic. We're still going with that bitch. But tail end of this year, I mean, how many people sat back at the end of 2019 and were like, I'm motivated. That's it. I'm tired of being fat. I'm tired of being broke. 2020 is going to be my year. And they wrote it down and they put the pictures of the big ripped dude on the fridge or the skinny bikini chick on the fridge and blah, 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 blah. And here you are in December of 2020 going, oh, shit. I got my ass kicked. Well, you listened to all the motivational shit. You bought the fucking books. You got all the motivation you fucking need, man. You got every workout. You got everything. Motivation doesn't mean shit. Like if you can't get your own ass up, if you're not motivated by your current reality, I will tell you something like it's really hard to be broke. It sucks being broke. It's fucking terrible to be broke. You don't need motivation, motherfucker, if you're broke. You should look at your bank account. You want to be motivated? Look at your fucking bank account. That should motivate you to fucking move. And if it doesn't, fuck off with YouTube. Forget the self-help books. You don't need Tony Robbins. He ain't going to fucking motivate you. You understand what I'm saying? When you take your shirt off and like you at the beach with your kids and you want to keep it on because you look like a beach fucking whale, that should be motivation. Like this last year, I got I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. Ever in my entire freaking life. I have people that are messaging me like, I can't believe you like run around like that with your shirt off and your shorts and the whole thing in front of your daughter. Like, what's that teaching your daughter? You want to know what it's teaching my daughter? To go up fucking after a man who values his body. You want to know what it's teaching my sons? To be a fucking savage, to be a badass. When I show up at football and you got dad bod galore and I'm yoked out of my fucking mind, what does that teach my kids? Well, Sean, you're an arrogant asshole. Fuck you. You just don't want it as much as me. Straight up. You just don't want it because if you did, you would. And like, I have no apologies for that. And I think people really need to understand this. Like, if you're waiting for somebody to come along and motivate you, you're a lazy piece of shit. You should motivate yourself by where you currently are. If you're fat, if you're broke, if your marriage sucks, if you're disconnected from your family, that shit stings inside, bro. Mm-hmm. That's your motivation. That's your motivation. It ain't a Tony Robbins video. Trust me. It ain't a Sean Whalen book. You want to get motivated? Win. You want to be motivated even more? Win more.
All right. We gotta, you know what? That's the perfect way we end this because win more is the best way to end this. Sean, how do people find you, learn more about you, become part of what you're creating?
lionsnotsheep.com, SeanWhalen.com. Pretty easy.
There you go, folks. Like I have additional questions, but you know what? We have to stop right there because that's the perfect end. What's up?
Why do you have to stop?
I was trying to be respectful of your time, but fuck it. Let's go. Keep going. All right. One more question. Best one? You got lots of them.
Or we can just rapid fire.
Let's do rapid fire.
Done.
Hindsight's 2020. You're looking back on the mistakes, the damage, the bankruptcies, the failures. What's one change you'd make if you could look at yourself in the mirror back then?
I would have hired a coach. I wouldn't have been an egomaniac, egotistical son of a bitch like I was. I would have hired coaches and mentors.
How would you have picked that coach?
Find somebody who's doing what you want to do. It's the same way you pick one today. Find someone doing what you want to be doing or who has what you want and pay them to teach you exactly what they do or exactly how they did it to get it.
What would you be willing to pay them even if you didn't have the money?
What is your results worth? What is your life worth? A simple way to answer this. People say this all the time. Oh, what did it? If you valued yourself as much as you valued your children's lives, you would find and or create the money. Meaning, if I told you today that if you didn't give me $50,000, your child would be dead by 5 p.m. You want to know what you do by 5 p.m.?
Find the money.
Anything that you had to get 50 G's. Once you value yourself with that same accord and that same tenacity, that's when you become a fucking winner.
Damn, that's good, man. That's good. All right. So moving forward with you, what's next for Sean Whalen?
I'm literally going to eat lunch. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to go back down to my warehouse and work on some plans for 2021.
Okay. What are those 2021 plans?
I want to do $1 million a week in sales. I'm going to launch a new podcast, which it's been in the back of my mind. And I'm going to launch a show. No one knows this. You're hearing this first. Literally, no one knows this yet. Launching a show with my fiance, a relationship show.
Oh,
we
that's
are
awesome.
balls deep, full open, divorced people. We've been through the fucking ringer. We've been up, we've been down, we've been in, we've out with step parents, the whole freaking game. We're going to create the baddest ass, most ridiculously cool relationship show ever created.
That's pretty interesting because now we got to go back in time. So back a while ago when you were making all that money, when you were in real estate, I see the photos of you doing your bus tours and your houses. You had a dream to have a show back then. How did that happen and where did that transpire? Because that same dream is one I live. So I'd love to hear your side of that.
So I actually got pitched by HGTV.
Yep.
And HGTV told me that they would do a show, but they wanted me to cover my tattoos and shave my beard. They wanted the more clean cut look. And I told them to fuck off. And we literally shot a pilot and it never went anywhere because I didn't really fit the image.
Well,
so
I didn't know that.
From there. And dude, with this is when social media is kind of small and new nowadays, dude. I mean, you look at, I get more views on some of my videos
than HGTV does in all of them.
Period. I get more views on some of my videos than some nighttime ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox news shows do. Why the fuck would I try and like play and pander to that game? I'll create my own game. So we're literally going to create our own show. It'll stream online. It'll be on all of the social platforms. But you didn't hear me say that yet because it's a surprise.
All right. We didn't hear that. But yeah, that's interesting too, because we did actually too. Me and my wife filmed the pilot. We aired on HGTV. And you're right, man. They had their little square box. Fit in the box or we're not going to give you the show. No, you're absolutely good for you, man. You know what? I look back and I wish I would have been a little bit more stand-up, offish on the things that they wanted because they were. They're like, do this, wear that. Oh, man. Good for you.
Everything happens for a reason too, man. I mean,
you're right.
Everything happens for a reason. I had a very successful podcast and I wasn't vibing with it. I was doing it just to do it. And I am in a place now where it's like, if I'm not having fun with it, I don't want anything to do with it. If it's not exciting to me, and what's exciting to me right now is literally just continuing on doing what I'm doing. I don't have major goals for 2021. Launch podcast because I'm finally in the game that I want to play that and I want to be there. And I'm with an amazing fucking woman. And we're both like, dude, we love talking about this here. We sit in the bath for hours at night talking about relationship shit and this thing and that thing. I'm like, we should be recording this right now. This would be such a good podcast. And we're like, let's do a show. Let's do a show because we love talking about this stuff. And my inbox literally is inundated every day. And so is hers with, hey, what do you think? Can you help us? Can you do this? I'm like, it's the perfect storm.
Wow, Larissa's going to love that.
Have this conversation. Let's do it. Let's like open the kimono of not just who we are, but how we make it work. And if it vibes with you, great. If it doesn't vibe with you, great.
Sure.
But there's a lot of people struggling right now in their relationships. And I feel like she and I have been put together at this time, not only for ourselves individually, but to create this unity that we have, but to also show people that you can be a complete fuck up like me and have made millions, lost millions, struggle with depression, struggle with being an ego fucking maniac, with having all kinds of mental shit. Like call whatever you want. I got all the shit that you could ever want, right? The ADD, the ADHD, like I struggle with depression sometimes. There's days I don't want to get out of fucking bed. Like there's days that I want to burn my entire world to the ground. People are like, Sean, how do you always stay so positive? I'm not. I'm an asshole a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? You ask most fucking dudes and they're not too far off from that. They're kind of
every one of us.
You know what I mean? And we battled all of these things. And I'm like, dude, let's do a show. And it excites the shit out of me for 2021.
I like that. And there's lots more racing coming because I know you just put a bunch of stickers on that new vehicle you got your trucks, you were racing a car not long. What the hell happened with that car? Like I saw all this stuff, I was getting all excited and then it just kind of nothing was there. Did the car break down?
I bought this truck and it was amazing. And then we started tinkering with it and if I crash, I'm totally cool with it. Like if I take myself out of the race, but if I am out of the race because of a tranny or a little fucking $25 part when I'm in the middle of Mexico, like I was last year, I mean, we're ripping. We went from we starting in the last place position. I'm up in first place within like the first 50 miles of the Baja 1000, 680 miles in, we're winning the fucking race. And a little $25 part like knocks us out of the race. And it's like stuff like that just drives me nuts. So I'm like, all right, I sold the truck. And I bought a Razor. I bought a really, really, really well built out Razor, which my son has driven. And he drove it in the Mint. And the goal for 2021 is to turn that over to him and let him officially drive.
He's totally ready for that.
So it's way more fun too. The Razor is just so much more fun than my truck, man.
It's funny. I used to be an old dirt bike guy and everything. I've never been in a Razor. They're that much fun, huh? Because sometimes watching it, you're like, sometimes I'm like, I'm not old enough for that thing yet.
Yeah, trust me, they're fun as shit. You could get it's really sketchy and really squirrely when you're doing 85 miles an hour in a Razor sideways going through some freaking whoops and some shit like that. It's no different than a trophy truck. You just got more horsepower. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're fun as hell, yeah.
Oh, that is freaking awesome. I can't wait to see this stuff. I know my wife watches it all too, so she gets all jazzed up. So if she starts seeing you guys racing, she's going to be like, we need to get something like that. I need that. And I need that again.
Gotta do it, dude. Gotta do it.
Got a 7-month at home. So once she's at the age, she's going to be on the hill. She's going to be out surfing and she's going to be racing. And that's definitely going to be the path. Yeah, I love it. Love it. Awesome, man. Well, Sean, I appreciate your time, man. I really do. And, have a Merry Christmas. Keep doing what you're doing because you're motivating a lot of people. And, back to what I was saying to all you watching this. Don't just go out there and seek knowledge. Take some fucking action on what you're doing. Grab a copy of his book, get into his community, get his shirts, just be part of what you want to do. Grab a copy of my book. I told you it's free. You just got to take action and go do it. But you know what the problem is? A lot of you will make excuses not to do it. You'll be like, that's a great episode, and you'll do nothing. And you know what? That's lying to yourself, folks. Stop lying like Sean said. Sean, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Okay. Bye, everybody.